Jesus warned me, there's a light that isn't from heaven. I was 37 years old when I died, and I thought I knew what light was. I was wrong. My name is Rebecca Anne Harlow. I died on March 14, 2019, at 11:43 p.m. in a small emergency room in Ashwood, a quiet town where nothing ever really happens. They said my heart stopped for 9 minutes. But where I went, time didn't exist the way we think it does. What I'm about to tell you will sound impossible, but every word is true. And if you're hearing this, it's because you were meant to. Before we continue, I need you to do something with me. Close your eyes for 3 seconds and whisper the word light. Just once. Softly. If something inside you shifts, if you feel a pull or a warmth or even a fear, stay with me. Because this message isn't for everyone, it's for you. The light still speaks, and sometimes it speaks through warnings. I need to tell you this because I almost didn't come back. And when I did, I came back different, changed, marked, not by something dark, but by something so bright it burned away every lie I'd ever believed about God, about death, about what waits on the other side. I came back with a warning Jesus himself gave me. And I've been carrying it ever since, wondering who needs to hear it. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's someone you love. Maybe it's someone you'll never meet but whose life will change because you shared this story. I don't know. But I know I have to tell it. So let me take you back. Back to the night everything ended and everything began. I wasn't a bad person. I want you to know that. I went to church most Sundays. I prayed before meals, sometimes before bed. I believed in God the way most people do, like a distant relative you respect but don't really know. I thought that was enough. I thought if I was kind, if I didn't hurt anyone, if I tried my best, that would be enough. I didn't lie. I didn't cheat. I helped when I could. I smiled at strangers. I donated to charities at Christmas. I was good. Or so I thought. But goodness without God is just performance. And I didn't know that yet. I lived in a small apartment on the edge of town, near the railroad tracks. You could hear the trains at night, a low, mournful sound that became part of the silence. I worked at a bakery, the kind that smells like butter and cinnamon before dawn. I'd wake up at 4:30 every morning, when the world was still dark and cold, and I'd drive through empty streets to unlock the shop. I liked the quiet. I liked being alone with the dough and the ovens and the soft hum of the refrigerators. It felt safe, predictable, small. My life was small. I see that now. Not in a bad way, but in the way a person can shrink themselves down to fit into a space they think they deserve. I didn't dream much anymore. I didn't hope for much. I just moved through the days like water through a stream, following the path that was already there. I had a cat named Milo, gray and fat and indifferent. I had a few friends I texted but rarely saw. I had my mother, 2 hours away, who called every Sunday and asked if I was eating enough. I had my routines, my rhythms, my safe, predictable life. And I thought that was all I needed. I thought I was content. But contentment isn't the same as peace. And I had no peace. I just didn't know it yet. There was a restlessness in me I couldn't name. A hollow feeling that lived somewhere behind my ribs, like a room I'd locked and forgotten the key to. Sometimes, late at night, I'd lie in bed and feel it. That ache, that emptiness. And I'd think about God. I'd think about heaven. I'd wonder if it was real, if any of it was real, or if we were all just pretending because the alternative was too terrifying. I'd pray sometimes, small, desperate prayers that felt like throwing pennies into a well. Please let tomorrow be better. Please let me feel something. Please let me matter. But I never waited for an answer. I'd just close my eyes and fall asleep, and in the morning, the feeling would be gone, buried again, forgotten again, until the next time. The night I died started like any other. I'd closed the bakery at 6, cleaned the counters, locked the doors, drove home through the gray March drizzle. The sky was low and heavy. the kind of sky that makes you feel like the world is holding its breath. I remember parking in front of my building and sitting in the car for a moment, listening to the rain tap against the windshield. I was tired. So tired. Not just in my body, but in my soul. I didn't know how to explain it. I just wanted to sleep. I wanted to stop feeling so empty. I wanted something, anything, to change. But I didn't know what. I didn't know how to ask. I went inside, fed Milo, made myself tea. I sat on the couch and scrolled through my phone, looking at other people's lives, other people's happiness, feeling that familiar ache grow sharper. I put the phone down. I turned on the TV, but I wasn't watching. I was just filling the silence. And then, around 10:30, I felt it. A strange tightness in my chest. A heaviness, like someone was pressing down on my ribs. I stood up, thinking maybe I'd eaten something bad. Maybe I just needed water. But the tightness didn't go away. It got worse. It spread. My left arm started to tingle. My jaw ached. And I knew, somewhere deep in my body I knew. This wasn't indigestion. This wasn't stress. This was something else, something final. I tried to call 911, but my hands were shaking so badly I dropped the phone. I tried to breathe, but the air wouldn't come. I stumbled toward the door, thinking I could get to a neighbor, thinking I could get help. But my legs gave out. I fell. Hard. My cheek hit the cold floor, and I tasted blood. And then the pain came. Not just in my chest, but everywhere. A crushing, splitting, unbearable pain that made me want to scream. But I couldn't scream because I couldn't breathe. I was drowning. I was suffocating. I was dying, and I was alone, completely alone. Milo watched me from the couch, unblinking, unconcerned. The TV kept playing, the rain kept falling, and I thought, this is it. This is how I die. On the floor of my apartment, alone. Unnoticed, unmissed. And then the pain stopped, just stopped, like someone had flipped a switch, and I was standing, not lying on the floor, standing. I looked down and saw myself, crumpled and pale, eyes half open, blood at the corner of my mouth. I saw Milo jump down and sniff my hand. I saw the TV still flickering. And I understood. I wasn't in my body anymore. I was above it, outside it, free of it. I felt light, weightless, like I could float if I wanted to. And I didn't feel afraid. I felt calm, strangely, impossibly calm, like I'd just woken up from a long, exhausting dream. I looked around the apartment and it felt different, smaller, dimmer, like I was seeing it through a veil. I could hear sounds I'd never noticed before. The hum of the refrigerator, the ticking of the clock, the rain like 1,000 tiny drums. And then I heard something else. A sound that wasn't a sound. A presence that wasn't a presence. It was calling me, pulling me, and I turned toward it. And I saw the light. It was in the corner of the room near the window. A soft, glowing light. Not bright, not harsh, just warm, inviting, beautiful. It pulsed gently, like it was breathing, and I felt drawn to it. I felt like it was made for me, like it had been waiting for me, like it knew me. I moved toward it. I didn't walk. I just moved. And as I got closer, the light grew. It filled the room. It filled me. And I felt something I hadn't felt in years. I felt loved. I felt seen. I felt like I mattered, like I was finally home. The light wrapped around me, and I let it. I let it take me. I let it pull me in. And I thought, this is it. This is heaven. This is God. This is where I was always meant to be. I felt no fear, no doubt, only peace, only warmth, only light, and I surrendered to it completely. But then, something changed. The warmth began to fade, not all at once but slowly, like a fire burning out. And I realized something was wrong. The light was still there, still glowing, still beautiful, but it felt hollow, empty, like a shell with nothing inside. I tried to move closer, to find the source, to find the presence I'd felt. But there was nothing. Just light. Just glow. Just emptiness. And for the first time since I'd died, I felt afraid. Because I realized I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what this was. I didn't know if this was heaven or something else. Something pretending. And then I heard the voice. Not from the light, from behind me. A voice I'd never heard before but somehow recognized. A voice that was strong and gentle and unbearably kind. It said my name, Rebecca. And I turned, and I saw him. Jesus. I don't know how I knew it was him. I just knew. The way you know your own heartbeat, the way you know your own name. He was standing there, a few feet away, and he was glowing. But his light was different. It wasn't soft or inviting or hollow. It was alive. It burned. It radiated. It filled everything, and when I looked at him, I couldn't look away. His eyes held mine, and I felt like he was seeing every part of me, every thought, every secret, every lie, every moment I'd pretended, and I felt naked, exposed, ashamed. But he didn't look angry. He looked sad, like he'd been searching for me and finally found me, but I was in the wrong place. He spoke again. Rebecca, do you know where you were going? And I looked back at the light, the soft, glowing light that had felt so warm, so safe. And I didn't know. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was you, I whispered. I thought it was heaven. He shook his head slowly. That light isn't from heaven, Rebecca. It never was. And I felt my heart, or whatever I had instead of a heart, drop. What do you mean? I asked. What is it? He stepped closer, and his presence filled the space between us. It's a deception, he said, a counterfeit. It's designed to feel like love, to feel like peace, to feel like home, but it's empty. It has no life, no truth, no me. It's a trap, and you almost walked into it. I felt cold, colder than I'd ever felt. Even though I had no body, I felt it. A chill that came from somewhere deep, somewhere I didn't know existed. I don't understand, I said. Why would there be a false light? Why would something pretend to be you? He looked at me with such sadness, such compassion, that I almost couldn't bear it. Because, Rebecca, the enemy knows that people are drawn to light. They're drawn to peace. They're drawn to anything that feels like home. So he creates a copy, a beautiful, empty copy. And he waits. He waits for people like you, people who believed in me but never truly knew me, people who thought being good was enough. And he offers them comfort, safety, rest, and they go willingly because they don't know the difference, because they never learned my voice. I started to cry, not with tears because I had no body, but with something deeper, a grief that came from my soul. I thought I knew you, I said. I went to church. I prayed. I tried to be good. I know, he said softly. But you kept me at a distance, Rebecca. You believed in me, but you didn't seek me. You prayed to me, but you didn't listen. You thought that was enough, and it's not your fault. You were taught that it was, but faith without relationship is just religion, and religion can't save you. Only I can. And I've been calling you for years, but you never answered. You never stopped long enough to hear me until now. His words broke something in me, something I didn't know was there, a wall, a barrier, a defense, and I fell to my knees, or whatever version of kneeling exists when you have no body. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't know. He knelt beside me, and his light surrounded me, and it was nothing like the other light. It was warm, yes, but it was also fierce. It was consuming. It was alive. It was love in its purest, most terrifying form. I know, he said. That's why I'm here. That's why I stopped you, because I'm not finished with you yet. You have a choice to make, Rebecca. You can stay here, in this in-between place, and I will guide you home. To the real heaven. To the real light. Or you can go back to your body, back to your life, and you can tell people what you've seen. You can warn them, because there are so many, Rebecca, so many who think they know the way, but they're walking toward a light that isn't mine. And they need to hear this. They need to know. I looked at him, and I felt the weight of what he was asking. Go back? Go back to the pain, to the emptiness, to the loneliness, to the small, quiet life I'd been living? I don't know if I can, I said. I don't know if I'm strong enough. You're not, he said gently. But I am. And if you let me, I'll be with you. Every moment, every breath, every step. You won't be alone anymore, Rebecca. You'll never be alone again. I looked at the other light, the soft, glowing deception, and I felt a shudder run through me. How many people are drawn to that? I asked. How many people think it's you? Too many, he said quietly. More than you can imagine. They die thinking they're going to heaven, and they walk toward a light that feels like peace, like love, like home. And they don't realize, until it's too late, that it's not me, that it never was. And then he showed me something. He touched my forehead, and suddenly I could see. I could see beyond the room, beyond the veil, beyond the thin line between life and death. I saw thousands, maybe millions of lights, small glowing orbs scattered across a dark expanse. Some were bright and radiant and alive. Those were his. Those were real. But others, so many others, were soft and dim and hollow. Counterfeits, deceptions. And I saw people moving toward them. People who had just died. People who were scared and confused and desperate for comfort. And the false lights called to them. They glowed, they pulsed, they promised peace. And the people went willingly, gladly, believing they were going home. And when they reached the light, when they stepped inside, it consumed them. Not violently, not painfully, just quietly, completely. And they were gone, lost, trapped in something that looked like heaven but was nothing but emptiness. I gasped. I pulled back. I couldn't watch anymore. Why? I whispered. Why does this happen? Why don't you stop it? He looked at me with those ancient, sorrowful eyes. Because I gave humanity free will, Rebecca. I gave them the choice to seek me or to walk away. And many choose to walk away. They live their lives believing in a version of me they created in their own minds. A version that doesn't challenge them. A version that doesn't require surrender. A version that lets them stay comfortable. And when they die, they're drawn to a light that reflects that version. A light that feels safe. A light that asks nothing of them. But it's not real. And I can't force them to choose me. I can only call. I can only wait. I can only hope they'll listen before it's too late. I felt the weight of his words settle over me like a blanket made of lead. How do they know? I asked. How do people know the difference? He smiled, and it was the saddest, most beautiful smile I'd ever seen. They know my voice, he said. If they've spent their lives learning it, listening for it, seeking it, they'll recognize me when they see me. They won't be deceived. But if they've only known me from a distance, if they've only heard about me but never truly encountered me, they won't know the difference. They'll be drawn to whatever feels familiar, whatever feels comfortable. And that's the danger, Rebecca. That's the trap. The counterfeit isn't ugly. It's not dark. It's beautiful. It's inviting. It's everything people expect heaven to be. But it's empty. And once they're inside, it's too late. He let the vision fade, and I was back in the room, back in the space between life and death, kneeling before him. I felt shattered, broken, but also awake, more awake than I'd ever been. What do? I asked. How do I tell people this? How do I make them understand? He reached out and touched my shoulder, and I felt a warmth spread through me, a strength I didn't have before. You tell them the truth, he said. You tell them that not every light is from heaven. You tell them that the enemy is clever, that he disguises himself as an angel of light, just like the scriptures say. You tell them that knowing about me isn't the same as knowing me, that going to church isn't the same as surrender, that believing in heaven isn't the same as being ready for it. You tell them to seek my voice now, while they still can, to learn it, to listen for it, so that when the time comes, they'll know, they'll recognize me, and they won't be deceived. I nodded, tears streaming down my face, or whatever version of tears exist in that place. I'll tell them, I whispered. I promise, I'll tell them. Good, he said. And then he placed his hand over my chest, and I felt a surge of energy, a jolt that was both painful and exhilarating. It's time to go back, Rebecca. Your body is waiting, and so is your purpose. Don't waste it, don't forget what you've seen, and don't be afraid. I'm with you, always. And then he pushed, gently, firmly. And I was falling backward through space and time and darkness. And I could hear sounds, muffled voices, beeping machines, the sharp antiseptic smell of a hospital. And then, with a gasp that felt like swallowing fire, I was back. Back in my body, back in the pain, back in the world. I opened my eyes and saw bright fluorescent lights, white ceiling tiles. A nurse leaning over me, her face a mixture of shock and relief. You're back, she whispered. Oh my God, you're back. We thought we'd lost you. I tried to speak, but my throat was raw. My chest ached. My whole body felt heavy, unfamiliar, like I was wearing someone else's skin. I blinked, trying to focus, trying to remember where I was. The hospital. I was in the hospital. They'd found me. My neighbor had heard the crash when I fell. He'd called 911. They'd brought me here, and my heart had stopped. For 9 minutes, they told me later. 9 minutes of nothing. 9 minutes of death. But I knew better. I knew those 9 minutes were everything. The days that followed were strange, surreal. I was alive, but I didn't feel alive. I felt like I was straddling two worlds, unable to fully return to either. The doctors called it a miracle. They said I shouldn't have survived. They said there should have been brain damage, organ failure, something. But there was nothing. I was fine, physically at least, but inside I was changed. I couldn't stop thinking about what I'd seen. About the light that wasn't from heaven. About the people walking toward it, believing they were going home. About Jesus kneeling beside me, asking me to come back and tell the truth. I knew I had to, but I didn't know how. I didn't know if anyone would believe me. I started slowly. I told my mother first. She cried. She didn't understand, but she believed me. Then I told a friend. Then another. And slowly, word spread. People started asking me to share my story. At churches, at small groups, at gatherings. And every time I told it, I saw the same thing in people's eyes. Recognition, fear, hope. Because deep down, they knew. They knew they'd been living at a distance. They knew they'd been believing in a version of God they'd created, not the one who actually existed. And they were scared. Scared they wouldn't recognize him when the time came. Scared they'd be drawn to the wrong light. And I understood, because I'd almost made that mistake. I'd almost walked into the trap. If Jesus hadn't stopped me, I would have, and I would have been lost forever. Now, I live differently. I don't just believe in Jesus. I know him. I seek him. Every day, I wake up and I listen. I listen for his voice. I read his words. I pray, not with empty repetition, but with real conversation. I ask him questions. I wait for answers. I let him shape me, change me, break me down, and rebuild me. It's not easy. It's not comfortable, but it's real. And that's all that matters. Because I know now that when my time comes again, when I die for real, I won't be confused. I won't be drawn to the wrong light. I'll recognize his voice, and I'll run to him, not to a counterfeit, not to a deception, but to the real Jesus, the one who loved me enough to stop me, the one who sent me back with a warning I'm giving to you now. Not every light is from heaven. Not every feeling of peace is from God. The enemy is clever. He knows what we want. He knows we're drawn to comfort, to rest, to anything that feels like home. And he uses that against us. He creates a copy, a beautiful, convincing, empty copy. And he waits. He waits for people who believe in God but don't truly know him. People who go through the motions. People who think being good is enough. And he offers them exactly what they expect. Exactly what they think heaven should be. And they go willingly. Because they don't know the difference. Because they never learned his voice. Because they kept him at a distance their whole lives. And when they die, that distance becomes eternal. I'm telling you this because I don't want that to happen to you. I don't want you to die thinking you're ready, only to realize you're not. I don't want you to be drawn to a light that isn't from heaven. I don't want you to spend eternity in a beautiful, empty place that promised you peace but gave you nothing. I want you to know Jesus. Really know him. Not just know about him, not just believe he exists, but know him, his voice, his heart, his presence, so that when your time comes, and it will come, you'll recognize him, you'll run to him, and you won't be deceived. So I'm asking you, please, don't wait. Don't assume you're ready just because you go to church or pray or try to be a good person. Seek him now, today, right now. Open your Bible, fall to your knees, talk to him like he's real, because he is. He's more real than anything you've ever known, and he's waiting for you, not with judgment, not with anger, but with love, with open arms, with a light that's alive, that's fierce, that's consuming, a light that won't let you go, a light that will never deceive you, a light that is him, and only him. I don't know how much time you have. None of us do. But I know this. Every moment you spend at a distance is a moment wasted. Every day you go through the motions is a day lost. Because when the end comes, and you're standing in that space between life and death, and you see the lights, you need to know which one is real. You need to recognize his voice. You need to be able to say, that's him. That's Jesus. Not because someone told you, not because you read it in a book, but because you know him, because you've walked with him, because he's been with you every step of the way, and when he calls your name, you'll run to him without hesitation, without fear, without doubt, because he's not a stranger, he's your savior, your friend, your everything. That's my story, that's my warning, that's the message Jesus sent me back to share, and if you're hearing this, if these words are stirring something inside you, if you feel that pull, that conviction, that quiet whisper saying this is for you, then listen. Don't ignore it. Don't push it away. Don't wait, because the light is calling, the real light, and he's waiting for you to answer. Not someday. Not later. Now, right now, in this moment. He's here, and he's asking you to come closer, to stop keeping him at a distance, to stop settling for secondhand faith, to seek him, to know him, to let him transform you from the inside out, so that when your time comes, you'll be ready, you'll recognize him, and you won't be deceived by a light that isn't from heaven. If this story awakened something in you, if it stirred your heart or made you question where you truly stand, I want you to do something. Write the words "true light" in the comments below. Not for me, not for the algorithm, but as a declaration, as a commitment, as a reminder to yourself that you're choosing to seek the real Jesus, the real light, the one who will never deceive you. Write it as an act of faith, as a step toward him, because he sees it, he knows, and he's waiting. The light still speaks, and today it's speaking to you. Don't let this moment pass. Don't let this warning go unheard. Choose him, seek him, know him. And when the time comes, you'll be ready. You'll recognize his voice, and you'll run to the light that is real, the light that is life, the light that is Jesus.